Have you ever felt like your faith is just another thing that you have to get right? On top of all the meetings, the behaviors, the exhaustion, and just the general responsibility that we face. You're also supposed to be the calm and steady person. You're supposed to be the spiritually strong one. Well, if your faith has started to feel heavy instead of restful, then this episode is for you. Today, we are talking about how to stop performing for God, especially in fostering. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's the one that has quietly crept into our lives as carers, but also as Christians. And it's performance. It's not that loud kind, it's the subtle kind. It's the pressure to be the calm carer, the pressure to be the patient parent, to be the faith-filled woman, to just wake up and be able to live as a Proverbs 31 woman, the one who always handles it well. And if we are not careful, our faith, well, it can start to feel like something that we have to do, something that we have to maintain, something we have to constantly be applying ourselves to, instead of just something that we get to rest in. Over the years, I've come to learn that there is a difference between just living faithfully and performing faith. And performance, well, that sounds like I should be coping better, I should pray more, I shouldn't feel like this. Other carers seem to manage, why is it so hard for me? And performance makes faith heavy. It becomes so much more about the outside world that we forget who we're actually living for. We're living for God, but also for ourselves. So when we put this pressure on ourselves, it turns our relationships into a responsibility. It turns grace into pressure, and it turns prayer into just a checklist. And slowly, instead of being anchored by God, we feel judged by our own expectations. When we start to live our faith like it's another meeting that we have to apply ourselves to, with more tick box exercises, and it just becomes an extension of our to-do list. But our faith, it doesn't need to be like that. It is not a tick box exercise. It is not a to-do list. It is about connection. It is about that personal relationship with our God. In Galatians 1:10, it reminds us, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? And sometimes our performance in faith, it does become about other people. And sometimes it's about trying to win their approval. But we need to remember that we're not trying to win approval. We already have it. God is not grading us. He is not judging us. So let this just be a gentle reminder that God is not marking your fostering journey like a tick box exercise. He is not measuring how calmly you've responded every single time there's been a situation, or how often you've opened your Bible this week, or whether you've said the right words and you've presented yourself perfectly in every single meeting. But God is always present. Faith was never meant to be impressive. It was never there for us to impress everybody else around us, but it was meant to be relational between you and God. In Ephesians 2:8-9, we're reminded that grace is a gift, and it's not something that we have to earn. It's not something that we have to prove. We don't perform our way into God's presence, but we do get to rest in it. Sometimes faith just simply looks like some worship music, some journaling, or even just a quiet prayer whilst doing the dishes. Other times, our faith, it looks like, God, I am tired. God, please help me. That was hard. Both of these versions of our faith, they are real, they are lived, and they count. They matter, they're important. But when we spend so much time in comparison, that actually steals our peace. So your faith, is your journey. But when it comes to comparison, it's so easy to do that in fostering. We compare our placements, we compare behaviours, we can compare our home life to other people's home lives. We can compare our resilience to situations, to the things that we find ourselves in. We can even compare ourselves spiritually. But comparison, it actually distorts reality, and we don't always know what we're truly comparing ourselves to. But we're not meant to be carrying someone else's grace. That's theirs to carry. You're not called to replicate somebody else's calling in life. Wherever you find yourself right now, you're not behind. You are exactly where you're meant to be in this part of your life, in this part of your journey. And right now, remembering that God is working in your home. He doesn't need things to look dramatic for it to be divine. Your quiet obedience right now for where you are, just remember that is still obedience. You are still doing God's work. I think there is something so beautiful and so deeply holy about ordinary faith. Just washing the dishes, doing the school runs, just sitting through those difficult evenings, showing up again tomorrow. No spotlight over the situations that you've been in. There's no applause, there's no visible outcome yet. It's just you anchored into that moment with God by your side. In Colossians 3:23, it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord." So even in the unseen things, even in the daily routine of doing things repetitively, even in your exhaustion of just daily life, know that everything you are doing for God. And it slowly starts to change something within you when you know that there is a reason that you are doing these small things. There have been seasons in my life where I've quietly questioned whether I was actually doing enough and doing enough spiritually. But I've realized that God, He wasn't asking for more from me. He wasn't asking for more effort, for more input, but He was inviting me to rest with Him. He was inviting me to just pause in my day. It wasn't a tick box exercise. So if your faith has felt heavy lately, I just want you to know that you can let go of all of that extra pressure, the proving, the striving, the comparing, trying to be impressive to others, trying to tick more things off your list. Because God is not building a performance in your home. God is just simply inviting you to have a relationship with Him. We all know that relationships, they grow through presence, not through perfection. We all know that we can't control and manipulate others. It doesn't work. That isn't a relationship. But when you can quietly come to another person and just be anchored in that moment, that is when deep connections are formed. And that is exactly what God is inviting you back into. So this week, just gently notice a few things as you're going about your day. Just where does your faith feel like it's become effort, like another tick box exercise? And ask yourself, am I resting or am I performing for God? Am I performing for others? Am I doing something for recognition from other people? So as we continue through this season of becoming steady and rooted, let's choose faith that rests, faith that breathes, and faith that doesn't need your performance. You don't need to be impressive, you just need to stay connected. And honestly, that is more than enough. I know that today's society expects people to be doing so much more, but sometimes just those quiet moments, they really are enough to get us through. And I know that it can be so easy to say that everything's fine, especially if you're the strong one in the room. So if this has resonated, feel free to share your thoughts below, or you can come over and explore our resources or get in touch on the website if you'd prefer something a bit quieter. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and let's hang out some more.